if their kind of perception and expectation of you is, oh, they'll check in once a year, then things come up and then they'll get pushed to the side.
Yeah.
But if their expectation is we have a monthly call or we have a weekly call, and before that call, I need to have X, Y, and Z ready to discuss, then they're going to be ready.
Hello and welcome to Pillars of Wealth Creation, where we talk about creating financial success with a special focus on business and real estate. I'm your host, Todd Dexheimer. Now, let's get to it. Are you ready to start investing in real estate today but don't know where to start? Sometimes investing can seem way too complicated, but it actually couldn't be any easier than with homeinvest.com. You know the co-founder and my friend Nate Armstrong. He appeared on episode 20, and if you haven't heard it, go back and listen to it, episode number 20. Home Invest is a company that allows you to invest in turnkey real estate. Their goal is to build powerful investment tools that make real estate investing accessible to everyone. They have contractors and property managers available for you with the click of your mouse. While other real estate agents can only offer a property, Home Invest brings you a full turnkey package that allows you to diversify your investments, earn passive income, and start building equity in properties. Their simple, intuitive design allows newcomers and experienced investors alike to hit the ground running and to be able to choose the properties when they want and where they want. View easy to understand charts and data to allow you to buy in only a few clicks or just a simple phone call. With Home Invest, you'll be building your portfolio as quickly or as slowly as you would like. And right now, Home Invest is giving our listeners, Pillar of Wealth Creation listeners, a free course on how to finally win in real estate investing. So go to homeinvest.com/pillars. That's homeinvest.com/pillars to claim your free course today. Hey, welcome back to another Hump Day Hustle. I'm your host, Todd Dexheimer. With me is John Stiles, as always, with Bridge Realty. John, how are you doing today?
Hey, Todd, I am doing wonderful today, and just kind of running around a little crazy here with different transactions going on and different deals, but I'm doing wonderful, and happy to be here with you today. How are you doing?
Well, I'm doing fantastic. Thanks for asking. And that's good that you're running around, because that means you're busy. That means you're doing something.
Yeah.
You're not eating Cheetos, sitting watching Days of Our Lives or whatever else is on TV during this time.
That's right. Don't have time for that.
Well, if you did, I hope that's not what you'd be doing.
So,
well, cool. Anything new other than running around? Any new deals? I think you got a couple listings that I've seen you posted on. What you got going?
Yeah, I've got 2 different listings right at the moment that I'm working on. They're on opposite sides of the world. It seems. One's up in Hugo, Minnesota, and one's down in Shakopee, Minnesota.
So you got one in my neck of the woods, and one in completely across the cities.
So and it's always interesting, sometimes getting ready for these listings is kind of like a hurry up and wait, but then hurry up and do it all at once because have to be ready to go as soon as the property is ready to go.
Yep.
Then when it is, you got to get all the different marketing blasts out there and make sure it's getting seen by as many people as possible. So,
John, what do you do for marketing? I mean, you've got the MLS, right? So you're posting on the MLS. What else do you do beside the MLS?
There's a couple different things, of course. One thing that I start with is really great pictures and a virtual tour. So I really like the new tool that's out there. Well, it's been a couple of years. It's been around for a couple of years. It's called Matterport.
Okay.
And that's where you could actually put on your virtual reality goggles and walk through the house. So I can send you a link to it for my shop.
I don't have virtual reality goggles.
Well, you can look on your phone as well. It
Okay.
just won't pop out as much.
Sure.
But, you know, I mean, we all know that people first look at properties online,
Yeah.
and you could take some pictures with your smartphone, but they're not going to turn out that great, you know. So it could be one of those houses that they just scroll on by, or they could see a virtual tour, which is not, you know, sometimes people do a slideshow and they call that a virtual tour. That gets on my nerves. A slideshow, a picture slideshow is not a virtual tour. A virtual tour is where you can put on 3D goggles and you could walk through this house from the comfort of your home. And so
you're putting these on, you're putting this on Facebook, LinkedIn, where do you, or is it just MLS?
no, yeah, it's going on Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram TV, which is a brand new platform that's out there.
Never heard
And
of it.
then some good old-fashioned door knocking in the neighborhood. Of course, open house. And also I partner up with a lender, and we do some calling of the neighborhood. So we actually, you know, if you live in that neighborhood, you should be seeing me left and right. You should be seeing me at your door. You should be seeing me on your Facebook feed. You should be seeing me on your phone when we call.
So are you doing the neighborhood thing more to generate leads, or are you doing that to sell the house? What's the like the main strategy?
It's a couple different things. Yes, we hope to get some leads. It'd be great if I could sell this house myself. We know, you know, usually we have two different agents involved in a transaction. One's going to be representing the seller.
Right.
One's going to be representing the buyer.
Yeah, in residential for sure.
Right. So, but if I can come up with both sides of that, that'd be great. But also just to create a lot of buzz and activity around that listing, so that whoever is interested in the house sees that a lot of other people are also looking and interested in the house, and that will just create a greater sense of urgency, and, you know, kind of fuel the offers that we receive. So
okay. So I've got a listing right now of a duplex, and it's not my duplex, and the tenants are really messy, and so there's two tenants. I think it would sell a little easier if at least one of the tenants was removed, because it's messy. Like you can't take good pictures of the inside of the house, and it's not that great of a property anyway. I mean, it's just it's a cash flowing duplex. It makes a lot of sense for an investor that just wants cash flow, but it's not that sexy property. It's not a property that you're going to sell based on the pictures. But the problem is we can't get good pictures.
yeah,
That's been a challenge right now, and just challenge of getting enough people into the door. I mean, I don't feel like it's overpriced, but we're just not getting the traction that I thought would happen. And I think a lot of it is because of the pictures. Like there's nothing to attract somebody to it.
Yeah.
So
That's always a tough one when you've got a tenant occupied property. And I was talking to a property owner for a 3-unit building that we're looking at listing here soon, hopefully. And in this particular case, the tenants weren't terribly messy, but, you know, obviously they live there and they have their things about. And as a tenant, they don't have any self-motivation or self-interest in keeping the property presentable to be sold. So, you know, what I discussed with that homeowner or property owner was offer the tenant some incentive, a gift card, We came up with probably like $100 per bedroom, because there's a 3-bedroom and there's a 1-bedroom. So just to make it even per person, so that each person can be motivated to do an initial deep cleaning, do an initial tidying up and cleaning up, and then maintain the cleanliness throughout the pictures and the showings.
Mm-hmm.
And then we hang out, kind of like a carrot. If you do these things, then we'll give you $100 when we close the property.
When we close, yeah. I mean, that's okay as long as they actually do it. Because
Right.
some people's idea of cleanliness is a little different than what my idea of cleanliness is. And same thing with they get just, quite frankly, they just don't have nice things.
Yeah.
Not to be insulting, I'm sure they've got some nice things, but not, it's, their bed isn't that, they don't have a headboard. They don't have a, anything like that. It's just a bed. Right. And
Sure.
They don't have matching, matching linens, or they don't have, nothing's matching. Right. And they don't have a nice bookcase or nice TV stand. And, nothing's just, it's not like somebody decorated it nicely,
Yep.
So even when they clean, it's still just okay.
Yep.
So
in some scenarios, you kind of have to weigh the balance. You might need to, give notice to one tenant and have it vacated and cleaned up before it's listed. Obviously, in this property, you've already got it listed, so that's already.
Well, we can take it off the market, though.
You could take it off the market.
If he wants to take it off the market, he can take it off the market. He can then clean it up and then stage it probably. But here's the challenge with that, right? It's a rental property. It makes money right now.
Right.
If you get rid of a tenant, you're probably going to get rid of the lower level tenant, which is the 2-bedroom, which is, getting the better rent. Now you're losing that rent, plus you're paying the utilities. Plus, if you have a stager, you're paying, the $1,000+ for the stager. So now what happens if it doesn't sell, if it takes another 2 months to sell? Well, now, you got to pay the stager $1,000. You got to pay for your loss of rent. So it can get expensive. So anyways, just
can be kind of a judgment call there.
Right. So it's just a judgment call. It's something that the seller has to think about. And I need to just sit down and talk to him about. He wants to just do that. So anyways, let's move on to kind of today's topic. I wanted to talk a little bit about hiring and firing, and when to do it and why to do it. Recently, I fired a property management company in Cincinnati, and I fired a contractor as well in Cincinnati. So recently I have been doing a little bit of firing and a little bit of hiring. So I thought, hey, let's talk a little bit about that and why and when do we do it?
Yeah, I mean, that's really great. I think most of us, we don't like conflict.
Yeah.
Or we don't like rocking the boat. Even if something's not going quite perfectly, at least some things are working correctly. So yeah, I think our natural tendency is to be quick to hire and slow to fire, but that can cause a lot of issues.
Yeah. Yeah, it really should be the opposite. Exactly what you just said. It should be slow to hire, quick to fire. But as you pointed out, it's so easy just to be comfortable, right? You've got somebody, it's not working well, but maybe you're not getting killed or whatever. And so you just kind of let it go. Or like for me, and I've done this plenty of times, and I probably actually should have fired the contractor earlier than what I did. Where I'll have a contractor, and there'll be several different things that have happened, reasons why I fired a contractor. But in this case, it's just, he gave me a timeline. He didn't meet it. And I said, oh, look, when can you actually get this job done? And he gave me another timeline, and he didn't meet that. And then I said, look, when can you get this job done? And he gave me another timeline, and that timeline was coming up. He hadn't quite gotten there, but I knew he's not going to meet it. And he said he'd be done by the end of this month. There's no way he would have. And so I fired him finally. And I should have done it maybe after the first timeline. Okay, I can allow an extension. That's fine. But after he didn't hit that second timeline, there wasn't any reasons for it. We didn't find new, for the first one, we had some things that came up. We had some plumbing issues. We had some other miscellaneous things. We added a couple things. So, okay, that's fine. But the second time, there wasn't anything new that came up. And he's using the same excuses. So, well, the plumbing, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, well, we already knew about that, though, by the time you gave me the new timeline. And now it keeps on going. And it was just kept on going. And who knows? I mean, he eventually would have gotten done. But probably one of the reasons why it took me so long to fire him is he's done several other jobs for me. And he's done pretty well with them. He's never finished exactly on time, but he's never been kind of this delayed. And so finally, it was just time to let go. And again, I should have fired a little faster than that. The property manager, same thing. The property manager I hired. I did take some time to hire. I didn't hire quickly. I did a lot of interviewing and maybe should have done a little bit more due diligence. And there was some kind of things that I maybe should have thought about. This guy's had been in business for a long time, had been in the business for a long time, but he had not been in business for a long time. So he just started his company, and he's trying to manage, 66 units of mine in, a few different locations. And yet he's trying to get other business, and he doesn't have a big team in place, and he doesn't have, so there was just some things where in hindsight, I should have hired somebody with a little bit more in place, likely. But with that one, I should have fired him a lot earlier. I just should have. But it was like, we're making a couple bucks. So, geez, I know when you fire a property manager, you're going to suffer for a few months because that new management company has to come in. They have to fix any of the problems. They have to get to know the tenants. They have to start collecting rents. They have to fix any problems that were happening, and there was problems that were happening. So it's going to take a few months, and that's like, oh man, do I really want to go backwards? I'm hoping this management company just steps it up. And anytime you think, and to me, anytime you say, I hope they step it up, it's too late. They're not going to step it up. They're just not going to. So if you find yourself ever saying, oh, I hope they can step it up, or man, I need to train them, or, something like that, it's just too late. Especially when you're dealing with a company that you hired, a third party company that you hired. So for anybody who's looking at, hey, hiring a management company, hiring a contractor, hiring any kind of service, I would, first of all, we talk about referrals, getting your referrals and doing your due diligence on that person. That's sound, but it doesn't 100%, make it so that's a right fit for you. It might still be a wrong fit for, just because they did well on a different project doesn't mean they're going to do well on yours. So when you're in that position, just make sure, you're constantly paying attention to what's going on, and you don't get emotionally attached. I think that's one thing I do is I trust people. And so when they say, hey, we're going to fix this, or we're going to, we won't let this happen again, I believe them, instead of going, you know what, I know it's just a line that you're feeding me and you're fired, yeah. So that's, I think.
So Todd, You've said a lot there. There's so many things.
Yeah,
The,
there's a lot.
the are there any good contractors out there?
Yeah,
Um,
there's a lot of good contractors out there, right?
okay.
Definitely.
Because I mean, I just had the recent experience helping a homeowner with their renovation, and you
Yeah,
know, we had this whole thing where there was a couple of delays. Some were very understandable. Some was due because of the city and the permitting process. But it's like, well, why didn't you foresee some of this? And then even after we get beyond the excuses, there's still delays, and like, well, you say this is your highest priority, but doesn't really seem like it.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, and that's the same. Like this guy would say, "Well, this is what I'm focusing. It's my main focus." Well, if this is your main focus, why is it taking so long? Like it shouldn't be taking so long.
Yeah.
And I think part of it, there's a couple things. One is contractors, and this is blanketing the contracting industry, but contractors are not good business owners. They are good at working and good at doing, but they're not good business owners. They don't a lot of times understand timing and how long things take, and you and plus it's a tough industry, especially a remodel, because you're trying to foresee future problems, and so you might open something up, and you do have to deal with the government, and so there's a lot of variables into the whole thing, and then somebody's demanding a schedule, and you go, oh, you want it. The other thing is, like I said, they're not business people, for the most part, so they want to get the job. Well, do you want to hear that it's going to take them 6 months, or do you want to hear it's going to take them 3.5 months? You want to hear it's going to take them 3.5 months. So they're going to say, well, it's going to take 3.5 months, knowing that it'll probably take a little bit longer, but they can always talk their way out of it. Again, because they're not business owners, they're construction people. And so that's kind of the construction industry. There's a lot of, think about the construction industry. It's a ton of independent contractors, right? You have some big companies? Sure, you have, Lennar Homes, and you have some big, but those are mainly builders. Do you have many big remodeling companies? Do you have any nationwide remodeling companies? Not really. I can't think of any nationwide remodeling companies, and I might be wrong. There might be a couple, but I don't think so. And so,
And if you find them, of course, they're going to charge more.
They're going to charge more, and
because
so
they have to cover themselves, because then they're going to deal with the independent contractors who are going to make mistakes, and the main parent company needs to stand behind the work and fix it. So.
Yeah, and that's just it. That you just said it right there, is they're going to hire subcontractors. Just because they're a big company doesn't mean that these are all their employees. They're hiring subcontractors, and they can't keep track of their subcontractors that well. So it's probably still going to potentially happen, and they can fire and hire a lot quicker because they have that big mass of people, but to work with. But it's a tough industry for sure. And so with contractors, I think you're going to find that you're going to be doing it more. One of the things that I think you can do to avoid some problems is don't go with the lowest bid. Pay attention to who you're talking to and how they're talking. Talk to the referrals. Ask questions that might be some pain points for you. If they're coming into your own personal house and you don't like a messy house, ask their references that, how did they do keeping things clean? How did they do, with that? If your pain point is, I want to make sure this job is done on time, say, hey, when did they tell you they'd have the job done? Oh, they said 3 months. How long did it take? Oh, it took about 6, but there was this and this and this. Oh, okay. So, if they tell you 3 months, it's going to take 6. If you're okay with that, then fine. If you're not okay, then find somebody else. I think one of the other things, and I do this, and sometimes it still doesn't work, but if somebody tells me, hey, it's going to take me, 3 months, I put a deadline on it, but I always, if they say 3, I'm going to add another probably a few weeks, maybe even a whole month. And the thing that you can do is you can put it in a contract as penalties too, that you're going to, take money off if they don't perform. And I would suggest everybody doing that is take money off if they don't perform.
Yep.
So.
Yeah, having that all laid out in the contract is really important. Depending on the scope of the project, sometimes if it's a smaller thing, we won't feel like it's necessary. If it's just go repair this one thing, maybe it's not necessarily to get super detailed, but especially for a large project, really get detailed with that scope of work, what's going to be done, what finishes, what's the timeline. And like you said, having penalties, you maybe give it a 10% or 15% flexibility for the time frame, because things happen. But then beyond that, give them, like you said, penalties that motivate them.
Yep. As far as contractors go too, there's a couple different types of contractors, right? There's the man in the truck. And again, he's not going to be the business owner, or she is not going to be they're not going to be the business type, right? You cannot be good at running a business and also doing the construction. I just don't believe that you can be good at both. So you're going to get that. And then you're going to have the company that has the salesperson, the main general contractor, and then either employees or subs below. Those companies are going to be more expensive because they've got more overhead, but they're going to be definitely more professional. So you have to decide, is price your only pain point? And if it is, you can't expect good service.
Right.
You might still get good quality work, but you can't expect, the rest of it. So yeah. And, we could talk about property managers too. I mean, for me, it would, I think some flags were, they just weren't doing what I asked them to do. And if you've communicated with them several times on what your expectations are and they're not willing to do it, maybe they say they're willing to do it, but they don't do it, quickly that it's just not going to change. I think the other thing that I could have done better is I could have communicated with them more frequently. Now I started to as it went on, but I think I should have done that right from the very, very get-go and made sure they understood my expectations. So like now with this new company that I've got, I'm communicating consistently. And same thing, like my property in Lexington, we're doing weekly calls. And so I think it's important to make sure you're communicating, because if you're not communicating with your contractors, with your property managers, with your employees, with whoever you're dealing with, then how do they know what to expect? And I had an employee before, and I still do, but one of my previous employees that I end up getting rid of, I just didn't communicate very well with her. I gave her my list of expectations at the start and kind of went through it and communicated for a little bit, and it just expected that she would just do it. And when things weren't going well, I was getting angry and upset at her, and that just continued to I think I was, probably too abrasive to her. Looking back, is like I wasn't supportive. I wasn't communicating. And so how can you expect somebody to perform at the level that they need to perform at if you're not telling them what you're thinking?
Yeah, the frequency of communication, I think, like you've mentioned here, is really important, because when a property manager is dealing with dozens of different clients or even hundreds of different clients, the squeaky wheel gets the grease. And if their kind of perception and expectation of you is, oh, they'll check in once a year. Then things come up and then they'll get pushed to the side.
Yeah.
But if their expectation is we have a monthly call or we have a weekly call, and before that call, I need to have X, Y, and Z ready to discuss, then they're going to be ready,
Yep. Yep. Yeah. And that's a good point too, having X, Y, and Z to discuss. So, and that needs to be you that gives that list. So you need to be talking about, certain things. And even if it's an employee, you need to have consistent communication, dialogue with that employee. And we're talking about, maybe it's your bookkeeper. So we're talking about the schedules that are, the books coming in. We're talking about maybe some certain things that, aren't happening, or even if they are happening, we just want to consistently communicate and make sure that everybody understands what their role is and what they need to do to continue to improve. And I think the other thing is you want to make sure everybody knows that, why are they there? Right. And so like with my property, properties, we're doing renovations. We raise rents. We're making these properties nice. I try to communicate with the property managers that, look, we're here to serve our tenants. That's really important to me because I get yep, we're going to make you money. Great. That's fine. Make me money, but that's not what I want. I want you to serve my tenants really well. I want you to take care of them. I want you to provide them a clean and safe environment. I want you to, make sure you're getting the maintenance done on that, to make sure there's, no bed bugs and cockroaches and stuff like that. I want you to take care of my tenants. If you do that, the money will come. And I want you to evict tenants that aren't going to pay rent, that aren't going to, be there, that are destroying the property, that type of thing. So if you communicate how you want your property handled, the money will come. That shouldn't be your main goal. And I've had property managers that say that, and it's like, well, that's not the goal. The goal is not just to make money. The goal is to take care of my residents. And if we do that, we will make money. So,
yep.
Cool. Anything else that, you worked with or for a property management company, you've dealt with contractors, or anything else that you can think of that you want to mention?
This is kind of a joke, but I've seen it said that a contractor offers three things: fast service, quality service, and shoot, I'm probably blanking on the last one.
Are you going to butcher the joke?
I'm going to butcher the joke. Fast, quality, and cheap service.
Yeah.
I mean, cheap costs, not service.
Yeah.
But you can only pick two. So you can either get it fast, good quality, or good price.
Yeah.
We'd like all three, right?
But I mean, it's true. That's kind of what you get. You're not going to get cheap, quality, and fast. You're just not going to get it. It's just not going to happen. Yeah. If you think it is, I got news for you. You can become a contractor yourself, and you can maybe curb some of those costs, and then, but then now you've got another responsibility. Yeah. And that's what I did when I was doing a lot of flips. But I added responsibility, and it was challenging. And as I got big enough, I couldn't handle that responsibility. And so when I was doing too many flips at one time, we just didn't make as much money on the flips because I had too much responsibility on my own plate, because I was trying to save that money and be cheap.
Yeah.
So,
well, I think the biggest takeaway is just that communication piece, setting the expectations up front, and then maintaining that relationship and that communication throughout.
And then have a backbone too. Like, you've got to have that backbone to be able to fire somebody, because maybe it hurts. You're like, oh, I just don't want to do it to them. They're nice. They got a family, whatever the reason is that maybe it's just laziness. I don't know what it is, but whatever that reason that you're not going to fire them, just like stop and you get rid of them. It's going to be better for both of you in the end.
Yep.
It might be painful for them the day it happens, but it's going to be better in the end, because both likely, if it's at that point where you're thinking of firing them, it's painful for you and it's painful for them. Like, so you should just make that decision and cut them.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Well, that's it. John, how can people get in touch with us?
Yeah, whatever platform you're listening on, you can probably see our name there, right? Pillars of Wealth Creation. And be sure to just comment right there. You can comment on the YouTube video. You can comment on the Facebook page. You can even comment on SoundCloud. Or if you're listening on iTunes, we'd love to get your rating and review. We'd love to get the word out to other people who might be able to appreciate the content that we're putting out there. So
yeah, for anybody that you think it's going to add value to them, share it out, and keep on listening. We love people listening. And then, like John said, if you go onto our Facebook or YouTube or whatever, you got comments, or you got just a topic you want us to talk about, especially on like Hump Day Hustle, let us know. Always want to try to serve whoever's listening as best we can. All right. Well, that's a wrap, John. And you have a great rest of the day. And I'm actually going to be gone. I'm going for a week. We're going camping for a week. So we're going to have a lot of fun doing that with the kids, and kind of my kids just love the camping, especially my son. He goes crazy. Like, he's always trying to go open up the camper and play in it. So
that'll be a blast. We'll have to
fun.
hear stories from that.
Yeah, for sure. All right. Well, have a good rest of the day, and don't forget to make every day a Saturday. Are you ready to start investing in real estate today but don't know where to start? Sometimes investing can seem way too complicated, but it actually couldn't be any easier than with homeinvest.com. You know the co-founder and my friend Nate Armstrong. He appeared on episode 20, and if you haven't heard it, go back and listen to it, episode number 20. Home Invest is a company that allows you to invest in turnkey real estate. Their goal is to build powerful investment tools that make real estate investing accessible to everyone. They have contractors and property managers available for you with the click of your mouse. While other real estate agents can only offer a property, Home Invest brings you a full turnkey package that allows you to diversify your investments, earn passive income, and start building equity in properties. Their simple, intuitive design allows newcomers and experienced investors alike to hit the ground running and to be able to choose the properties when they want and where they want. View easy to understand charts and data to allow you to buy in only a few clicks or just a simple phone call. With Home Invest, you'll be building your portfolio as quickly or as slowly as you would like. And right now, Home Invest is giving our listeners, Pillar of Wealth Creation listeners, a free course on how to finally win in real estate investing. So go to homeinvest.com/pillars. That's homeinvest.com/pillars to claim your free course today.